Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the International Student Podcast. I'm your host, Luca Firot, and today we are joined by Philip. Say hi, Phil.
Hi.
Okay, so essentially what we're discussing on this podcast is just any kind of issues related around students, what we could possibly talk about, things that you've struggled with, things that you realize you need help with, things you've gotten help with, and just anything surrounding student life, basically. So for anybody watching who needs help, we're probably here, but our advice is not really recommended.
We are not qualified.
So Philip, how are you doing today?
Pretty solid, I think. Yeah, you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing very well. First ever episode. So where are you currently? Where do you study?
So right now I've been evacuated from USC and I'm currently at my parents' house in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah.
Actually, perfect gateway into where we are right now. Current situation, quarantine, nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going to happen with universities. How has the entire change from offline to online affected you as a learner? How have you changed from learning in uni to now?
It's been horrible. Not gonna lie. It's a really difficult transition because at school moving back home is sort of a massive shock for me because first of all, like at USC, for example, I had a lot of freedom. I could go eat whenever I wanted, go anywhere I wanted, that kind of thing. Here, I don't really have that flexibility. I don't have the house to myself. I eat what my parents cook and that kind of thing. It's been kind of a rough transition in that sense, but along with that, all classes were moved online over Zoom, which sucks.
What's your experience been with Zoom, right? Because I'm in the UK, so we don't use Zoom. We use like Microsoft Teams and stuff. And there's been a lot of people jumping into Zoom calls and being like, "Hey, what's up?" and like pranking everybody. Has that happened to you?
It hasn't actually happened to me, but USC, like after maybe about a week of online classes, released a very strict policy where you have like these waiting rooms that you have to have a USC login to get into the Zoom calls or whatever. Yeah, because people were just Zoom bombing the calls. Yeah, nice. No, we never ended up getting pranked. All that happened was they put in more restrictions, so it got even more annoying to hop on the Zoom calls.
Fun.
So I went from not wanting to join the Zoom calls to absolutely not wanting to join the Zoom calls.
So are all your lectures live then? Like, do you still get to interact with your tutor, or is it pre-recorded and then you like interact afterwards?
Yeah, you can. It's all online. So you hop on a Zoom call with your professor, and they talk about it, and you can ask questions and contribute to the class periods. But they also do record everything. So, for example, there's a lot of students that are in different time zones now. I have friends in Hong Kong that absolutely cannot be taking classes at like 4 in the morning.
5 a.m. in the morning. Like,
yeah, 5 a.m. waking up with an alarm just to go to class. So instead they do recordings, and the professors have become a bit more flexible with timing and with email questions and that kind of thing, which is nice because nobody really knows how to adapt to this kind of thing. Yeah. Even the adults who are supposed to know what they're doing,
they're all panicking because they have no idea. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Because that's weird, right? Because we don't have any like live lectures. For us, it's completely, everything's pre-recorded. We get to ask no questions. And then we have like a little portal, like after we've watched the lectures on YouTube, we can be like, what's this? And then we kind of like ask about everything after the lecture's been recorded like a month ago. So for us, it's a lot less interactive, which kind of sucks.
But there's also pros and cons to that, right? Because, for example, some of my professors were still taking attendance. They were checking to make sure that we were there, and then they were doing like cold calls and that kind of thing. So you actually have to pay attention, which can be seen as both a good and a bad thing. Because if I don't want to pay attention, I'll still have to, and it'll have to be more focused than would maybe be in a normal lecture.
Yeah. Wait, did you say you'd be more focused and you'd be less focused in a normal lecture because there's going to be cold calls within the Zoom call?
I mean, okay, so in a normal lecture, I'm specifically taking from one of my classes here where I, didn't like the professor very much, and I'd spend most of the lecture doing the homework for the class. Because I just didn't want to listen to the professor reading off the slides. Yeah. And so there I was more confident because it was 100 students. I didn't necessarily have to focus because it was likely that the professor would call on someone else. Yeah. But then on the Zoom calls, when it went from being 100 students to 30 students with a professor like directly addressing you every once in a while, you really had to pay more attention there, which I suppose is a good thing from an academic point of view, but a bad thing from my point of view.
Yeah, from like the average student perspective who don't want to be paying attention at all times.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a bit more flexibility to be gained from being able to do things on your own time. For example, with your classes where you have the recordings preset.
How do they switch over your assessments? Are you taking online exams now, 48 hours open book, for example, like me? Or are you just whatever?
I wish. I mean, I'm not that badly affected by it, right? I'm in a 3-hour time difference from LA.
Yeah.
But some of my friends that are in Hong Kong, for example, they've had to take exams at 7 a.m. or something, which is pretty bad. And then others that are in Russia, for example, have to take exams at 3 a.m. And nobody can be expected to perform that well at 3 a.m.
Yeah, of course.
Some professors have adapted with some flexibility, like, open book, bigger time window. But in other classes, no. Unfortunately not.
Because we just have 48-hour open book, right? They post it and nobody really gives a shit. And then like in the last 2 minutes, everybody's like, oh my God, we have an exam. And for you, I mean, I don't get that they have to take into account for the lectures that they can't always be there. But then for an exam, they just completely disregard that. And they're like, okay, 7 a.m. for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, not every single professor, not every single class, but it's not convenient when it does happen. Yeah, and I feel like a school with that many resources should be able to have, like a question bank to draw questions from, maybe structure a 2 different time zone, like exam structure, or even have it be open book.
Yeah, just create something new, not go with the old system, but in a new way. That's kind of counterproductive.
It's been a bit unfortunate. I mean, obviously some professors and teachers have been more flexible than others. Yeah. One of my classes is sort of one of my classes has been like completely canceled. Like the Zoom lectures are no longer mandatory. We have complete flexibility to do basically whatever we want, and it's really limiting the amount of contribution that this quarantine time has to our final grade and that kind of thing. So we don't have to stress so much in an already stressful time.
For you. So
for like some classes,
I'm surprised that everything's so different depending on which class you have and which professor you have. Like there's no like actual fixed way for everybody to do it. Everybody gets to pick their own way by the sound of it.
I mean, perhaps it was because the US was maybe a bit less prepared for the pandemic. Yeah. So, I mean, USC doesn't know if they'll be having classes online in the fall, online or offline. It's a bit up in the air right now, which is kind of scary.
That's not going to end well, is it? Goodbye.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to a lot of. So what's convenient for me is that I'm not just a USC student. I'm in this sort of, it's a program called the World Bachelor in Business. Mm-hmm. So I spend my first year at USC, and then I go to Hong Kong this summer. After the summer, I'll be going to Hong Kong.
7 a.m. assessments.
Yeah, but I'll be attending. I'll be a student at the University of Science and Technology, HKUST. I'll be a student there. I'll be taking classes there, and then next year after that, I go to Milan, where I'll be a student at Bocconi, and then for the 4th year, I get to choose from any one of those 3 schools. So, surprisingly, Hong Kong is the safest option right now. Like there's a lot of
ironic.
Ironically, after the very rough year that Hong Kong has had, both of the protests and the pandemic, but surprisingly, it seems to be the safest place. The plan is full steam ahead, while the USC students don't know if they'll be able to attend classes in the fall.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
It's kind of, yeah.
So they've started classes in Hong Kong then? What do you mean with full steam ahead? As in, like, I mean, they've controlled the situation a lot better than most other countries. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But still,
so they're planning to have classes in the fall. Like we're planning to go there in the fall and take classes there like normal students. Mm-hmm. Perhaps with some more safety measures, wearing masks during lecture and that kind of thing. But
so you don't spit on your lecturer every now and then. I mean, that's
true.
Just the most common occurrence when you go out and about.
Yeah, of course. Wow. If you really don't like your lecturer, then you...
I know. Then there's 120 people spitting on you. That's harsh. I mean, let's make them wear masks here, right?
One classroom, the spitting period of...
Yes.
Of course.
Oh, wow. It's incredible how different everything is. Like, I thought that there's some sort of unanimous system. Well, 1 for your lecturers between the university, and then 2 for most universities in the world. Because my system is entirely different from that. Right? Because we have like all this, we did have to submit like a form where it's like, which time zones are you in, blah, 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 blah. And then they try to manage everything corresponding to that. But the entire system is still very different to yours. We also don't know if we're going to open in fall, of course, but yeah, just kind of winging it at this point.
Yeah, I think a lot of the professors are winging it, and some have been a lot more accommodating than others. And it is kind of interesting to see like how prepared are certain professors for a different change in lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what shocked me at the beginning is how well prepared and how horribly unprepared one, parts of the world are, like different countries, and then two, how unprepared different universities are for something like this. It shows really how good the university is, depending on how quickly they switch to something or how they accommodate different changes. I think that was pretty incredible to watch from different universities and different friends, just how everything changed.
Yeah, but even so, it's been kind of sad to see as well. Like,
yeah, of course.
Harvard University, I think it was early or late February, early March or something like that. They just said, all right, guys, sorry. And they kicked all their students out, forced them to move out within, I think it was a 2-week move out period that they had. And then everything went online. They just sent all the students home, move out of dorms, move out of everything, and run it online. So it's maybe the effectiveness of the response has also been a bit sad for students.
Yeah, like it's incredibly harsh, but it also like the most realistic standpoint you can take. You can be like, okay, everybody should go home, so let's send them all home. But of course you can, I mean, if they would have dragged out the period, it would have probably escalated a lot quicker than as compared to, okay, 2 weeks, leave, let's make this best for everybody.
Yeah.
Which of course also isn't best for everybody, but depending on which situation you're in, it could be, the easiest way.
Yeah. I think with the pandemic response for USC at least, we had up until spring break. We got to stay and talk to all our friends, and it was a very rapid escalation. I can remember. So on a Friday morning, we were told
Tuesday
that our
afternoon.
No, it was a Friday morning. We were told that the international trips were canceled. I was supposed to go to Peru for a sort of a business type trip, working with startups.
It's just vacation and flat out.
Almost. No, we actually had to like deliver presentations, that kind of thing. Yeah. So it was a proper business class with a fun edition of tourism. So, nice. So Friday morning, I can remember waking up, and being like, oh, they're probably not going to cancel the trip. And then I go to that class and they say, yeah, guys, sorry, the trip is canceled. It's all going to be done online. It's too dangerous right now. South America has its first case. Yeah, exactly. South America has its first case and that kind of thing. So it was that. And then I was kind of bummed about it. And then Monday morning, they said, all right, we're going to trial just 3 days of online lectures so you guys can see what it's like to do online lectures. So from Wednesday to Friday of these days, it'll just be online lectures. We plan to come back after spring break. Wednesday rolls around. They say, yeah, guys, sorry, we're going to have to extend it maybe 2 weeks after spring break. So so you guys will have a 3-week long spring break. I guess you can try to enjoy that. And then you'll be back at USC like nothing happened. Yeah. Friday, they said, okay, it's going to extend until late April. And then I think I was already I was going on a spring break trip to go skiing. And then that Saturday or that Sunday or something like that, they just said, yeah, guys, sorry, it's all going to be online for the rest of it. Enjoy.
Wow. The thing is, this is like a harsh reality hitting me now. Like I'm going through exactly the same thing, but like hearing it from somebody else is completely different. It's just like, it's such a like harsh reality that came out of nowhere. And nobody really knew how quickly it was going to come. Like you said, like they kept on extending it because they had no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. And now everybody's sitting at home. That's incredible.
I can remember cracking jokes about Corona in January, and now
exactly it happens.
We're all just sad and alone at home.
Yeah. And then, I mean,
but you're not at home.
I'm not at home quite yet. No, I mean, I'm probably going to stay in my accommodation simply because like I feel like most students out there, they don't want to go back home to their parents. Like I love my parents and all, but it's just, you've gotten into living by yourself, and then something like this steamrolls at you and you're like, I can do it. It's all fun and games until you get sick, and then maybe it's not that fun. Because I was sick just like a month ago, and I had a lot of symptoms and I was not feeling well. I isolated, I did fine. It's all gone. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm okay. Like, of course, depending on the situation, things can escalate a lot quicker. But so far, I've done pretty well by myself. Let's put it that way. Surviving. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously affecting older people disproportionately more and people with pre-existing conditions. And so it's, I was sort of upset at, we're going to kick you out. Even though you're young, you might not see the worst of it. Yeah. But then I also remembered I have some immunocompromised friends, for example, who... Exactly. It's very dangerous for them to go back to school, and
especially right now, honestly, half the teenagers have like half their friend circle of smokers, it kind of makes things a lot more difficult. Yeah, I know. I also thought about
Jewel X Corona collaboration.
Exactly. And then you just put people in a situation where one, shouldn't be in, of course, and two, also where they're in that very high threat level, even though compared to the age, they really shouldn't be. So yeah, it kind of bounces around the difficulty of how could you care for yourself and others.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact that some people are, protesting lockdowns as well. I think it's a bit not an ideal situation where you gather in large groups to protest being told to self-isolate for your own safety. And I understand that, there might be a need to reopen different economies to ensure that people can get their jobs and to
of course
work as well. Like that's obviously extremely important. That's a significant danger, but it's also a little bit
But honestly,
risky.
From all the protests I've seen online, I've never seen anybody. I mean, there's probably some of there and probably a lot of there out there who are protesting to like, let me get back into work and stuff like that. But I've never actually seen anybody do that. I've seen people be like, let me hang out with my friends. Let me go to the beach. And it's never been something that would help the whole economy part going back up, right? It's always just like, hey, I want to surf today. Can I please?
Yeah. So what I think is kind of ironic in that situation as well is that it seems, at least from what I've seen and what I've heard, it seems to be more wealthy people who are less at risk of the disease. Like they won't be frontline workers. They will be earning money, but they won't be putting themselves specifically at risk. They're only putting the frontline workers at risk.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I've seen that kind of thing, and it's a bit problematic in that sense.
Like there's people protesting for all the wrong reasons, and they're also in the completely wrong situation to protest. That's also one of the things. Yeah. Like they're not in a position like where, I mean, of course everybody's allowed to have their voice and everything, but there's just certain scenarios where like it's best to keep it to yourself.
Yeah, maybe stay at home. And it's been older people also protesting, which is not ideal.
Yeah, it's just so bad. I don't think, like, the thing is what I also hate, right? I don't want to talk too much about the entire, like, what it does and blah, blah, blah. But it's like everybody's become their own health expert all of a sudden, right? Because suddenly there's so many news about that new coronavirus. And then everybody's like, oh, I found this study. And in Germany, for example, there was this big study around that if you get a certain vaccine, I forgot what it's called, I think it's pneumonia, then you actually are less likely to get the coronavirus. And then everybody just started spitting all those kinds of facts around, and none of them actually have a lot of basis or any basis at all. So everybody becomes an expert, and then everybody's kind of fooled by their own information, which it's so annoying.
Yeah, a lot of people want this to be over, and that's leading them to jump to certain conclusions. But I don't know when we'll be able to return to normalcy, to be able to return to school for most people as well.
Yeah. The question, what I always keep asking myself is like, what's going to be normal by the end of this? Like, if we do this for another half a year or another year, isn't online classes going to be the new normal? And we'll have to like, the same what we did for online classes, like we felt uncomfortable going into it at first. Are we going to feel the same thing for going back into the real world the way it is? Just like interacting with everyone, going to shops without having to worry or all of that. Like, is that going to be weird?
I mean, yeah, there's this concept of this low touch economy, or I think it's called low touch economy. I read about it in Harvard Business Review, where, you're supposed to everyone's going to try to limit their contact to everything. So, whether that translates from business, like manufacturing with as limited contact as possible, or, socially or in person, where to get into lecture halls, we'll have to stand in lines with certain distances between them. So we don't actually touch door handles or anything like that. It's an interesting idea to see, and I don't think there hasn't been anything at this scale for ever. I think
a good while. Let's just put it that way.
A good minute or two. Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But it's also the thing. Like back then, I don't want to say back then. Like in other days where something like this has happened or something. I mean, most of the things that have happened have been significantly worse if they've been to the extent that coronavirus has been to, right? It's gotten to stuff like the plague. That's a very dramatic example. So it's like, like how is this gonna become now, and how do people behave back then when that was the new normal? Those usually happen very quickly. It wasn't very like a dragged out process, so to speak. And now it's very difficult to adapt because we have to adapt over such a long period of time.
Yeah, and it also has to be with globalization as well, with everyone being in contact with everyone. Like all economies interact at this point, so it's very difficult to manage that between different nations. And some strategies have gone a bit awry. Like Sweden hasn't worked out too well, I think.
Yeah, but in Sweden, he's not digging it right now. he's not enjoying this time.
A bit unfortunate, yeah. And then in Hong Kong, they've managed to isolate. So basically there's been no person-to-person cases in Hong Kong unless it's been from international flights. That's been the only instance of cases in Hong Kong. So some economies have responded differently, and it's interesting to see how other countries might incorporate these kinds of strategies to try and limit the spread of coronavirus.
But then it also depends on like the resources available, the way, I mean, well, of course, the whole strategy, like the way it changed from the UK, it went from like, nobody's really worried about it to like, oh my God, everybody's scared. And now they're trying to ease the lockdown again. And it was like, oh, nobody's worried about it, right? It's just depending on which country does what. And I feel like a lot of countries aren't copying the good parts of what other countries are doing. They're all trying to copy like let's get the economy back. I mean, of course, very important, yes. But it's also like they're giving into protests such as open up again, like open up the stores, open up this. And they're copying all of those parts. But then something like Singapore, where you get like a little bracelet and you have to be at home, it's just like, it will make so much sense. Yeah.
And there's people concerned about loss of freedom, specifically in America, that you can't take that kind of freedom away from people, which I don't know, is a bit of a dangerous mentality.
The thing is, of course, everybody gets the idea. Nobody wants to be stuck at home. Nobody wants to be robbed of this freedom, right? Nobody wants it to be taken away. But it's a measure you take to protect yourself and to protect others, which doesn't really make it robbing it. It makes it just like a safety precaution, which is why I never understood the protests in the first place.
So I think something important is that you have to act as if you're already infected and you don't know it. Because with coronavirus, you can spread the infection without knowing you have it, without showing any symptoms.
Exactly.
And that's something that makes it so dangerous. So you have to be very careful and act as if you have it.
Yeah.
To be able to protect others.
Exactly. And I mean, that's also the scary part of it. There's the idea that, I mean, just like any other virus, you may not be experiencing any symptoms, but you may just pass it on just as easily.
Yeah.
And that's I don't like that. I mean, of course, nobody likes that. But then those protests for getting your freedom back, like, yes, we all love to go outside, and yes, we all love to do this and that. But take care of yourselves, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, we drifted off a completely different subject. From a student's perspective, this matters. I mean, of course, a very important discussion we're having here. But from a student's perspective, I feel like there's also a lot of things that adults don't really understand. For example, professors, just by the simple thing, like not all doing the same thing with their exams, with their lectures. For me, they're not all doing the same with their lectures and all of that. Like there's a lot of different styles that I have to adapt to now, as compared to just the normal lecturers out front there. I listen to him or her and take notes. And now it's just like that one person uploads it like this, and the other person has a live lecture, and then the other person has my exam like this, and the other like this. Like, we have to adapt to so much as well now, which I feel like a lot of people neglect, like a lot of lecturers, for example, neglect. Like, they don't think about what we have to adapt to now, depending on what decisions they make at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was clear or not.
No, it does make sense. Like, I have 5 different classes, and I've had to adapt in 5 different ways to manage those classes and to, struggle and try to do well, and to focus on my grades and focus on learning as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a bit of a struggle adapting to that as well. I think in future universities will probably have more coordinated approaches to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected this, but now that it's happened, people are going to be talking about it for decades and working on strategies just in case of another pandemic.
Exactly.
It feels like we're kind of the guinea pigs for this, and
yeah, I'm not liking it, but we're in it now. We're in it to win it.
We can't quite escape it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of me thinks this is very exciting. Of course, horribly like bad, and it's a bad scenario for just about everybody involved, and nobody's really enjoying it. But it is an experience that hopefully, let's say, nobody else is going to have for the next generation to come. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Like you'll be telling your kids about the coronavirus pandemic and that kind of thing, and lying, saying there were zombies or something like that as well.
You just involve your own little snippets. Of course, not make it too dramatic because it's already pretty bad. But yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I mean. It's an exciting story, but it's a shitty way into the exciting story.
Yeah, we're going to be part of some middle schoolers' history project or something in a couple of years.
It's going to be us doing.
Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of different people have had have felt different ways of adapting to try and keep themselves busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise, I know I'd go insane if I didn't keep my mind on different things. Yeah. I can't be social unless it's over.
Not even because of Corona. You just can't be.
I just absolutely cannot be social. No, but beyond talking to friends over Zoom, which over Zoom or FaceTime or Skype or whatever it is that we end up in drastically different time zones and we can't all talk at the same time. Versus in college, there was a lot more flexibility with your friends and that kind of thing. So it's been a bit of a strange adaptation for that. I've had to find different things to occupy my time to not go absolutely insane. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like the thing, right? You all had in mind, like, this is going to be the summer of our lives, first year of college. This is going to be insane. Now you're sitting in your home basement and it's just like, oh man.
Yeah, it's just all come crashing down. I had so many plans. I was going to travel around the States, travel around Europe. Yeah, get to Hong Kong early and like have some fun there. But no.
Exactly. It was going to be a very exciting, beginning of the year and also an exciting end to the year. Like, it's just this two bridging phases, just like the beginning of summer, everything's exciting. Then the end of summer, the whole new start in Hong Kong.
And now it's sort of been miserable.
Ever so slightly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you coped with learning and keeping track of everything yourself, right? Because now you don't have to attend a lecture or you have more flexibility. So for example, sometimes I just don't work up until the lecture is literally just until the very due date. I don't do anything.
So I've been lucky in the sense that as I was saying, two of my classes, they've sort of been much more flexible with essays and that kind of thing with coronavirus, and one of them has been more flexible with exams. So I really only struggled with one class that had limited to no flexibility at all.
Yeah.
But what I did that allowed me to I think maintain and I end up with I think fairly good grades as well is I've had nothing else to do at all.
Yeah.
I would be bored out of my mind if I didn't do anything, and I'd rather be bored in a lecture than be bored alone staring at my ceiling. So I managed to attend those lectures and sort of push myself towards the end goal of trying to get a good GPA and everything for this semester and end off the horrible season with a bang.
Yeah. So you're taking a very different mentality than me. Because you're taking okay, I'm bored, let's grind mentality. And then I'm I'm bored, let's hop on TikTok, let's hop on Instagram. There's so many things I can still explore.
I suppose there's one other component of that though, because as a student at USC, I had, you might hate me for this, but I had maybe 12 hours of class a week. I think I counted 12 total hours of class a week. So I went to,
Wait, is that little or a lot?
That's nothing.
Dude, I have 6.
You have 6 hours of class a week. What normally during what? Okay, but you must spend a lot more time doing stuff outside of class, yeah, like projects and essays and stuff.
Yeah, we're supposed to. Let's put it that
way. Okay, right. So me with my measly 12 hours, coming out of high school with maybe 25 hours of class a week, going to 12, left me with not a lot of lectures to attend anyways, and not too many different classes to focus on. So I could just pay attention to the ones I wanted to improve my grades in and that kind of thing, and spend a little bit of time instead of an absurd amount. Like kids at ETH with 29 hours of class a week.
Yeah. 29 hours. Wow.
Yep.
The thing is, I thought I had little, and then you thought for yourself that you had little. For me, 12 hours is just double. I'm like, fuck. Wow.
Wait. Throughout the week, though, yeah?
Yeah. I have 6 hours of lectures and then 3 hours of tutorial. 3 50-minute sessions of tutorials where you discuss everything you've had in the lecture and your work that you had to do for the tutorial.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of
understandable.
Yeah. It's messy. But the thing is, you're doing this for 4 years. I'm doing mine for 2. Let's see. Oh.
Yeah, but don't you have no summer break?
Oh yeah,
loser.
Okay. Just quickly for your information, we're doing 2 very different degrees. But what are you doing? Business management as well, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of business. Yes. Yeah.
And then I'm doing an accelerated business management course, is the 3-year course basically compressed into 2. So I just skip out my summer and do another term and get that done with. So I didn't lose much anyway because I only had 2 weeks of summer. But yeah. See, that's why I'm surprised that, I mean, okay, total I'd have 9 weeks of class technically with the tutorial included. But that's still very little for the fact that you're doing it for 2 extra. Like, what the fuck do you learn, man? So much more than me.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that's probably going to go into learning some Chinese or something while I'm at Hong Kong.
Yeah, okay.
At the university.
Yeah. I'm busy here learning English. It's very tough. England is hard, man.
No, I was supposed to have, I think, 4 months of summer this year, you know? From
I can fit 2 whole school terms into 4 months.
Yeah. from late May to September.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that should have been. That should have been incredible.
Yeah, it should have been insane. That's exactly where I get my accelerated course from. Those 4 months of summer, because I have 2 whole weeks of summer break.
Yeah. Wow. It's a bit upsetting. I should have been able to go places, but oh well. Here we are.
You can go upstairs to your living room. You can.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah, basement, upstairs, attic. Switch it up a little bit.
Exactly. Just change up the surroundings so I don't get too tired.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's also a difficult thing for me. Like Boris now has allowed us to get unlimited exercise outside, so I am actually exercising for once, which I haven't done all of quarantine. But I got so bored. I was like, yes, workout, let's do it. And thankfully we're allowed to do unlimited exercise now. That's great.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Surprisingly, the people that lived in this house before us, they left a pull-up bar in the garage. So I'm trying to escape noodle arm hood as best as I can.
You're getting your summer body for next year.
Yeah, for next year's summer. I'm starting early.
A little bit, and then we're starting next year.
Skipping a bit ahead.
Perfect.
Of course. It'll be over for everyone once I get to next summer. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody look out, Philip's coming.
But fingers crossed, vaccine expected sometime around early next year. So
yeah. I really hope it does come.
Yeah.
Because I want to enjoy my 2-week summer. That's not gonna happen. Wait, early next year. I want to enjoy my 2-week summer next year.
Yeah, I mean, if by the end of it doesn't happen, I'm just gonna send it, get some corona antibodies by getting corona, and then
you can't say that online.
Stay safe. Be inside. That was a joke for clarity's sake. Yes. That's not a good idea.
Good. Thank you. Yeah. Have you noticed a lot of differences? Like, wait, do you go outside? Are you allowed to in Detroit? Is that like?
Yeah, you're allowed to go outside. I mean, when you go shopping and you go to enclosed spaces, you have to have masks, and it's sort of you're supposed to shelter in place, but you can do a little bit of exercise.
Toilet paper when somebody walks by. Shelter in place.
No, there's no toilet paper. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, fair. You're right. Never mind. What am I talking about?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what the rules are, but people go out for walks, and my neighbors just got a quarantine puppy, so.
Quarantine puppy? What is it?
Yeah, they got a puppy.
Oh no, okay.
Puppy to take care of for a little while they're all at home and in quarantine. So get through the tougher stages before they can.
But they're gonna keep it.
Go back to normal. They're gonna keep it. Yeah.
Thank God. Okay.
They're not just gonna leave it after.
They just got it for the quarantine. They're gonna be like, we have a puppy now. Shoo.
Yeah. Have a nice life. Goodbye.
Yes. You've been a great companion. Thank you.
No, they're keeping the puppy, but I've seen people walking their dogs and that kind of thing. I've gone for short bike rides and skateboarding a little bit.
How short is your bike?
It's like this big roundabout.
Short bike rides. That's adorable. Yeah. No, but do you have noticed like people walking around you like actively, or is it in America is it different? Do they still like just fucking dart at you?
I mean, people I think are a bit more careful. They still cross the roads. But for example, I went for a walk in a park nearby, and there were, I think it was a Trump party or something, because there were people standing definitely below the length of social distancing, like definitely standing way too close together. But nobody seemed to care, and the cops just drove by. So. Oh
wow. Okay. So it's not as enforced. I mean, okay, maybe depending on which cop, of course, drives by, it's more enforced, but.
Yeah, I think the structure is mainly like, okay, keep businesses closed. You have to wear masks in stores, but in more public places, you have a bit more flexibility, I think. Oh, wow. Maybe it's not technically legal, but it's not ridiculously stringently enforced. Yeah, that kind of thing. So yeah, I've been going on bike rides and skateboarding and stuff like that.
So just getting out and about doing something.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I've also noticed what I think is actually kind of, I mean, it's hard to say that something is nice about the coronavirus, but what I noticed is kind of cool is there's a lot of people that now go outside that I would have never seen outside before. Like there's so many people outside now, and Buckingham, like where I am, is usually so empty. And now there's so many people everywhere simply because that's the one thing they can do. And that's what they're like, now that they're allowed to do it and somebody told them that you can do it, they do it, which I think is great. So many people are getting exercise, so many people are walking, getting fresh air that usually sit inside and game or like do this and that and that. And I think it's great. That's one part which I really like and enjoy, especially because people get together, just like their household has fun.
It's a good time for self-discovery because you have less of these pressures, or you should have less of these pressures affecting you, that you can think about yourself more freely and consider what you want to do and adapt your lifestyle in a way to focus more. But I also think that's something that we can say for being from a position of privilege where we don't have to worry about money necessarily during these times, where we know we won't, starve to death or anything like that. We know we don't have to work. We don't need to rely on donations or something like that to keep us alive, that we can have some fun.
Yeah, so we're in a fortunate position where we can enjoy these small things that it's so hard to say that Corona's given us something. It's these small things that the situation has provided that we can enjoy now.
That we have to try to enjoy while we can, because there's nothing else to do. Yeah,
exactly. So we're kind of forced into it. But yeah, you're right. We are in a rather fortunate position, especially in this case. Simply because
the alternative for us is to be sad.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So let's make the best of it, go outside and skateboard a little bit. What I actually did, because, before, I haven't been on a longboard in a while, I was scared. There's a lot of mountains in Buckingham, which you wouldn't expect because it's England, it's kind of flat. But I was scared of longboarding before. Now, Corona, at the beginning, nobody was on the road. I was busy to freely drive around, fall over as many times as I wanted to, with no shame whatsoever, because nobody was there to watch. Now I can do it again. It's great. Got me back into something. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, of course, the concern that maybe you'll get run over if there's cars on the street. So
yes,
beyond someone just laughing at you, there's the other side of it.
Talk about that other issue. That's fine. More worried about the laughing. That hurts right here. The car, that hurts everywhere. That's fine. Right.
But what matters most is the heart, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've picked up longboarding again. Are there any other hobbies that you've gunned for?
I wish I would have. Honestly, guitar has just been standing here. I haven't done much putting that. I mean, I started the podcast. That's great. Because I was what was tough for me is that because I usually base my day around interactions, right? I love talking to people. I love interacting with people. And what I really missed was exactly that, because now the lectures weren't responsive anymore. It's just pre-recorded. And the tutorials, I had 3 hours a day where I could talk about something academically. And that was it. And I hated that. I need to be able to ask questions, to talk to my lecturer, to be able to just talk to somebody about something important of value, which of course I do with my friends. And it's very it's great. But there's just a little part of me missed the extra amount of talking that I could be doing.
So you're using me essentially, is what
basically
you're saying.
I'm using you to fulfill my one true need of talking.
Well, don't worry, because I think probably every other teenager in the world is feeling the same.
Exactly. So if you're bored, start a podcast, but don't start the same one.
Don't you dare. Yes, it's copyrighted.
Exactly. I only have one thing going for myself here. Well, only one podcast thing going for myself here. Yes. That's what I missed. I missed talking, and that's why I set up this. And now other hobbies I really should be doing more. I've just been eating food. I've been drinking. I mean, I've had this wine glass here the entire fucking time. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. But then some hobbies just fall under the crack and some new ones emerge. Gaming started again. I'm 19 years old. Probably shouldn't happen as much anymore, but now I'm doing it more than when I was a child. Corona's a freaky time, man. You pick up different things, you lose different things.
Yeah, no, it's been the same for me where I've gone back to old hobbies. I'm better at guitar now, thankfully, but I've also been playing a lot more computer games and been catching up on a lot of Netflix recommendations. Because when you talk to someone, they're like, oh, have you seen this show? And you're like, no. And they say, oh, you should watch it. And you're like, I'll add it to my list. And then you never think about it again.
Exactly.
Right. I've been burning through that list, thankfully. So I've seen a few more shows, been able to catch up with a bit more pop culture.
And the thing is, I just kind of Yeah, I ruined myself in that area because I did no lecture work before that. So I watched all my Netflix series. And now there was quarantine and I'm like, cool, I got nothing. I literally have to wait for like different YouTube channels to upload. So I'm like, please, I want content. Yeah, I kind of just like tripped myself in that one. But meh, we figure out our own ways, you know? Find new shows. What shows have you been watching? What's interesting right now?
Okay, Outer Banks. That show is the hottest one of the season. Apparently, it's as an avid watcher of Riverdale, because I hate Riverdale. It's what Riverdale should have been.
Oh wow.
Like it's entertaining. It's really good, and it has sort of a. It's not stupid. Like I'm sorry to say, but that's the defining difference. I really enjoyed it. I watched it, basically binged it in a day.
Oh wow! Okay.
Saw it.
Cool. Damn.
That's the recommendation.
I've never seen it before. I will watch that. You know, might as well, because I got nothing else to watch.
You got nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, I have my wine still. I'm good to go. I'm gonna do this right after.
Of course, it's the springboard. You'll enjoy Outer Banks a lot, I think.
I mean, I'll check it out. Never watch Riverdale, so I'll just watch what Riverdale should have been instead.
I think you're better off not really watching Riverdale. It's just a downhill. There's a sort of there's enjoyment in hate watching.
Yeah, I know. I remember you watching it like every single time when the episode came out. I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And every single time you said you hated it.
Okay. It's less about the entertainment and being attached to the story. It's more like the writers are very good at making it worse every single episode to a point where it should reach a limit. It should come to a limit, but it doesn't come to a limit. Like every single episode without fail is worse than the next.
Wow.
And I just have to see how they manage it. How does it become worse? Yeah. How can it possibly get any worse? And they exceed my expectations every time. Wow. Flawlessly. It's incredible.
Damn. That's incredible. I'm amazed by that beautiful description of Riverdale. That's one reason never to watch it, I guess.
Yeah, or one reason to absolutely watch it.
Or to watch Outer Banks, of course, because that's what it should have been.
Okay, Outer Banks is actually enjoyable, though. Yes. It's a difference. I sat down with each episode and I was like, I kind of want to watch the next one for good reasons.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, I think that is a perfect gateway. Me wanting to watch the show now. Because I think we're going to end it right here. Call it quits for the podcast for today. Because we have already approached 45 minutes. My God. Damn, we've been talking for years. Okay, perfect. Then thank you all for watching, and then hopefully I'll see you again with a new guest, or maybe Philip again, because this was fucking blimey. I love this. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Goodbye.
Perfect. All right. Hi, Philip. I'm still sticking with you, by the way.
Nice. You just felt like ending the podcast so we can talk a bit more freely.
It was 47 minutes. Like, I feel like I had to end it there. Let's stop. Okay, I think we talk.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm talking. Is it working?
Let's go.
It works.
Okay, cool. 1 second. Oh, my ham is falling out of my fridge.
You what?
My ham.
Why? What?
Because I'm getting the wine out.
Should I have some form of alcohol?
Wine and dine. Do you want to? You're welcome to.
I can grab a Corona.
Okay.
No, I'm not of age. I'm in the States.
I'll just not discuss in which country you are. We leave that out of the entire podcast.
Genius. Nah, it's okay. I'll refrain from the alcohol.
Some deliciously cold wine. Okay. Perfect. All right. I haven't made my bed. There's so much.
Of course, you got to make sure everything's perfect. No, dude, it's clever what I've done because I've just shoved everything out of frame of the camera.
Exactly, there's just you. If you could remove yourself, that would be blinding me.
Yeah, I'm a little bit messy.
It's okay. You look pretty.
If only I was a little bit more jacked. Like, you think it's better if I sit like this?
You have to assert dominance every single move. Lock my door.
I mean, my legs are spread because this isn't really a table. Like, I can. Let me send you a photo of the setup real quick.
I'm not really a table.
No, look, it's not a table. It's like literally like an outcropping. There's no space underneath for my legs. So I'm just sort of man-spreading around this table.
Wait, why did you send it to me?
What's up?
My phone's recording.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind. Right. Guess not. You can look at it after. Right. Lose your shit at the weird setup I have.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Okay, perfect. All right, good. All right, don't do that too much because my audio levels can only go so high.
Okay.
See, I don't even know how to start this. I need more wine. Okay. Okay, I think we just got that started. All right. This is like a presentation for like business.
Yeah, right. An English presentation or something like that.
Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the International Student Podcast. My name is Luca Fiero. I wanted to say I'm your host, Luca Fiero. That sounds cool. Okay. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the
International Student Podcast.
Okay, let's try that again. One last time. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the International Student Podcast. I'm your host, Luca Fiero, and today... Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the International Student Podcast. My name is Luca Fiero, and today I'm joined with... I want to shoot myself. I just want to get this done. And then after that, we can make as many mistakes as we want to.